everyone? It's your host, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we are going to be talking about everybody's favorite topic, marketing. But especially for my business owners who follow the page and follow our YouTube channel, we are on every platform you can get a podcast. But I have a true blue expert. He used to subcontract for Facebook, and he used to counsel and advise Facebook and people all over the world. And he still does today in his own private company called Slick Shot Media Consulting. And that is something we need. That is something every business needs, is a good marketing strategy, a good marketing strategist, right? Because there's a mindset to it. It's not just throw some money at it, throw some spaghetti at the wall, hope whatever sticks. There's an actual mindset that you need to have. Who's your target market? Who's your influence? And we're going to get those answers today on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Eric Saar. And so he's going to help us do business, do marketing, Facebook ads better. So help me welcome to the stage the incredible Mr. Eric Saar.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Marcus. Excited to be on and talk about all this wonderful stuff, marketing.
Absolutely. It's my favorite topic because it's been a sore spot. I'm gonna just tell you, anyone you talk to about Facebook marketing, it is a sore spot. And you know, it's a pain point, but you need it. It's a necessary evil. Let me say it like that. It's a necessary evil because there's a lot of people that go off of referral systems, and that works, right? That works for a time, but you really do have to have a budget in this day and age, in the 21st century, because everybody's eyeballs are stuck to their phone. Is that, and I need your help with debunking that myth, because it is meta ads, right? Is there a use for it in 2024? Is that something we're going to continue to see trend upward as necessary in the future, do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, trend upward, I don't know about that, but it's going to be very interesting because sometimes it will, for certain business models, it's very important. You just mentioned marketing. I want to hit on that before we get too deep in meta ads. You said like it's a necessary evil. It absolutely is. There's a famous phrase in marketing that bad marketing basically is, and getting rid of marketing is like breaking your watch to save time. And it's just, I know, right? And so business owners need to do marketing, need to do it the right way, especially if you're over being a solopreneur and you have like a team, like you need to keep up your funnels and you need to keep it going. So absolutely.
So I love that. You said something unique. You said funnels. So you're talking about click funnels. Because there's a difference, right? There's a website, there's a funnel page. So can you break that down with your expertise, what the difference is for those that don't know?
So everybody here in marketing will use funnels a different way. I'm being a little more broad in that, in the sense of that my version of funnels, and again, I kind of adjust my term of funnels depending on who I'm talking to, I guess, unconsciously. But in this case, funnel is from people who have never heard of you before to a sale and getting them. It's really life cycle marketing, going from never hearing about you to actually being a closed sale and or someone who refers people to you.
That's good.
Whatever way that is.
That's fair. That's fair. I want to touch on your backstory a little bit. How did you end up working with, primarily working with Facebook? How did you get picked up and subcontracted for them?
Yeah, I'll do the faster version of the story because it's interesting. But like, I used to be a sports writer. Like NBA basketball was like it's what I wrote about for years and got my degree in journalism in. But changed towards marketing over time for a while. Then ended up working as like need a job. So I worked at this big company called T-Tech. That's a billion-dollar call center company that's outsourced, but got in the Facebook division. So some divisions were just like boring customer service, but this was like sales and marketing and teaching. So basically I worked for a while there and did about 7 calls a day, teaching a different business every single hour, how to run Facebook ads correctly. So did about $100 million in ad spend, about 1,200 clients. And about 500 of those clients were agencies on the call on behalf of their client, trying to get their account fixed and optimized. And the funny thing was only about 10 of those agencies that I met with were like good at their job and not breaking basic rules that I learned on day 3. So I was like, so my company, Slingshot Media Consulting, the last 4 years has been like, I'm here to make sure that people don't get taken advantage of by agencies anymore.
I love that. I love that. That's a hand clap. That's a hand clap. No, it's true. I can't tell you. I can't tell you how many people I know that feel like the algorithm is cheating, right? Because I do remember this. Years ago, before Mark Zuckerberg was not getting as much trouble as he is now, constantly in like courtroom cases and all that. When it was still Facebook and not Meta, um I remember the algorithm was very specific with the ads. Like, who do you want to target? What demographic do you want to target? What area? What zip code? And
Mhm.
then it was so fine tuned that I could go down to the wire. I literally could go down to, you know, I want to only advertise to veterans. I only want to advertise to single individuals or married individuals, and I only want to advertise to people going through divorce.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, 'cause I used it for real estate, to promote my property and boost my property and to get tenant applications to come in so that I could put tenants in my property. And I couldn't believe it. I literally had a whole property filled with, and shame on me, I selected divorcees. I only wanted divorce military veterans. And I filled up the entire building with military divorced veterans, either going through a divorce or had been divorced recently, in accordance with the Facebook ad. So now that's changed. That's flipped. Can you speak to that?
A couple tentacles to hit on that is um, that is a very, because you're able to be so niched, some companies just can't be that niched. So even that wouldn't have worked for some people years ago. Um, Now it's still possible for certain people. For instance, I have a photographer friend who wants to do like wedding photos for people. Well, you can go find like engage last 30 days or whatever, 90 days, 100 days, whatever the
Still
case is. And that,
today, you
yeah,
can.
that
Wow.
can, I just saw that a couple months ago. Um, but a lot of people don't have, they've been taking a lot of targeting away, not because of anything necessarily bad, but because it's just not helpful or whatever. So if you can find a way to target your people, you're going to be in a good spot. But some people have other problems. So with the targeting, so a lot of people doing national U.S. audiences, like I've seen people targeting 5 million people when they're really trying to get people from all over the country.
Mm.
5 million is way too small for that kind of audience. You're not going to get efficient enough. You need to be in the 30 to 70 million-dollar range, million person range in your ad set to really get enough people to be successful. But that may be even changing now as Facebook finally, in the last 6 months or so, figured out their broad targeting that needs to be tested. Again, nothing I'm going to say necessarily is a rule. It is, here is the default where we should start to keep you safe and keep you on the right track. But as you figure out your business model and things, you work to test how they work with you. That's how I've done it.
So can you say that again? Can you say that?
Yeah.
So you're saying people should actually hit a bigger number, depending on the business.
Yeah.
I want to. I don't want to mess your words up or mess anybody up that's watching this. But depending on your business, you should be shooting for how many million of
Um,
people?
if you're doing US, like national, the whole United States, if you're trying to hit all those people because you have a digital business, you're a consultant, whatever, and you just need to get people in to do your thing, right? So you're not isolated to a state or something, right? Then you need to be hitting 30 to 70 million people generally in your ad set rather than like 5 million, 1 million, 500,000. Because if you super niche down to what you're talking about, there just isn't enough of those people on platform enough of the time that you'll be wasting money on high bids on low number of people, and you won't be efficient enough to get to scale where you want to.
How important or what should people be budgeting for, money wise, dollar wise, to hit that number? And I know it's based, and I know it's hard, right? Because it's based off of that dollar cost per average, right?
It's not
Because
for me though. This is gonna be interesting. So
okay,
budgeting is very interesting. So I have three rules. It's the problem is that people mess this up. So let me get, this is one of my big anti-agency things, which is why I'm the anti-agency expert here. And is that agencies oftentimes have their fee tied to a percentage of ad spend, which is just not, it's unconscionable almost, because they never have to educate you at all, and they never have to only get some of your profits. So if you don't make money, they still get paid, which is like a good business model if you don't care about being ethical sometimes, but it's important. So they tie their ad spend. And I literally had somebody, I've had lots of clients where they had that happen, and the person pressures them to spend more than they can afford to lose. and
That's the wrong approach.
they get bad. Yeah. So the good way, I have 3 rules. Never spend less than $20 a day. There are some gurus have $5 a day things. They could work for some people. I generally wouldn't recommend it. If you're not able to spend $10 a day, $20 a day on average for most of the month, then you're probably not ready for it yet. Second, if people press me and they're like, what's the perfect ad spend to start with? If you're like a bigger company and can afford it, if you're just picking a number out of the air, $100 a day is a pretty good place to start because you're away from the problems of small budgets where you're not able to be aggressive, but you also haven't hit the hard lessons of scaling and keeping the thing. Like I just ran someone's ad for 10 months and 50 grand a month, and we had a scaling problem. That was the only problem we had. We could get a lot of people. We're getting 20,000 leads a month, but like scaling and keeping the cost per lead under $1 or whatever was really hard. So those are different problems. Third one is the most important one for everybody. It's as much money as you can spend on a 2-week period that you can afford to lose no matter how the ad is doing. Let me say that again.
Please say that again. I was just about to ask you to say
it's really crucial, right? As much money as you can afford, because you want to be aggressive, that you can afford to spend over the course of 2 weeks. So whatever you have daily spend is you can afford, multiply by 2 weeks by 14. And then as long as that number is what you can spend, as long as you can afford to invest that in the ads, no matter how it's doing for 2 weeks. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
So the reasons for that is letting the algorithm do its thing, which is one really crucial thing. And that's what my main point that I usually talk about is significant edits. So what I've seen a lot of people doing is if you are editing an active ad, you will ruin it. So many people will go an active ad, publish it, then they'll 2 days in, they're like, my metrics aren't great. I don't like this. So I'm going to go change something and republish. You just ruined the ad. Ruined it. It's going to be now less data-driven and less actually able to do its job. It's now confused at what you want it to accomplish. So we always duplicate, make a new version, publish that version, throw off the old one forever. And so you see how these agencies, they don't care. They don't know about that at all.
Right.
They know, maybe they'll know about it, but they don't do it. So anyway, I'll let you go with the next question.
Ooh, this is tea. I need my tea. This is Eric Saar, y'all, on Gentleman Style Podcast, spilling the Facebook. Well, they own
it's
Instagram.
Facebook and Instagram. It's together. Meta.
They own it. Yeah. Yep.
So to clarify, people get all like, oh, Facebook's not my demographic. It's like it's also Instagram and interstitial. All those are placements inside Facebook Ads Manager. So it's going to all these places.
So it's going on both.
It's going on all of it. All of the places. So,
but I've thought this, and you can help me clarify. It's pushing to Instagram, even if I don't have an Instagram account. It's still pushing to. That's what I thought. That's huge.
Now, here's a key thing that that people do, that agencies do, that drives me crazy. So you know about your so depending on your business model and your funnel of how you want it, what do you want to achieve? There's a lot of people I've seen. I probably saw this at Facebook when I was subcontracting there from T-Tech. Let's say 300, 200 people using traffic as top of funnel lead source. And agencies love to do that. Here's why. And whether it's on purpose or an accident, I don't really care. But it's not good.
Charging me for traffic instead of actual leads?
Yes, but I'm literally talking about the Facebook ad. When you go on Facebook and you say you can do conversions, traffic, video views, etc.
Okay.
They do traffic. Facebook profiles these people basically as people who click on links and do nothing else. And so they say, we're getting you a great cost per click-through rate. It's amazing. Boom. Awesome. And literally those people are not going to buy your thing because Facebook says they won't. And so imagine an agency that just does that a lot, tells them all click-through rate, bleeds them dry. They don't get clients, or they may be able to get one because someone slips through because Facebook can't be perfect. And then they just keep you paying. They don't really care as long as you stay 3-4 months, they'll get their payback period and they'll make some money off you. And then they'll just keep doing that 20 times, and then they'll have a huge agency and they don't need to help people.
Well, why do that? Because you're gonna lose me as a client. Isn't the goal to keep me happy?
No, it's to keep you happy long enough to get enough people to hire people to get enough clients. It's almost a Ponzi scheme, kind of, but not really. I mean, yeah. So like, I would never like. That's why I only educate. Like that's why I only educate, because I want this to be off. Like I've had people come to me that save $5,000 a month because they don't need to use their agency anymore, and their ad account's better and more figured out. So funnels wise, it's really important for that. One thing I want to mention, which is why the difference is, there's two parts to Facebook ads, I would say, in this, that there's the messaging creative side, and we can talk about hooks and copywriting and all that stuff. But the part that I'm talking about is the structure. So I had a guy that was doing life insurance in Canada back in the day, 2019-ish, and he was doing pretty good, but the most mediocre copy I've almost ever seen, and literally a gravestone on grass is his image because he was doing life insurance, right? It was terrible. It was hilarious. It was actually hilarious.
It was terrible.
It was hilarious. But because he was on the call, right? It's sort of like a confirmation bias. But like he was on the call because Facebook said he needed his ad sets optimized, basically. So we go in there within 2 months without touching any of the creative. We tripled his revenue. Just me making like an hour's worth of tweaks to his stuff.
So you didn't change the headstone on the grass. You left that as
or the words.
You just tweaked it.
Tweak the ad sets and didn't do the significant edits, made sure the targeting was correct, all that stuff, and it tripled his revenue.
Tripled his revenue.
Yeah. So the problem is the agencies don't have any incentive to do that for you because they have you on a contract. They don't need to know, and also the bar is low. They didn't work for Facebook. They don't know. Some of them, I've met some good ones. I've met webinars. Like I'll meet some good people who are agencies. I'm like, okay, you're good at this, but it's like 7% of the people, of the agencies that do Facebook ads for a living. So anyway, where do we want to go next?
No, that's huge. I wanted to touch on the creativity, because I've had people reach out to me and said, you got to get creative and pull people, and you got to tell your story, and you got to have a mission statement and invoke the passion. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't disagree with that, but for something like, if it's, I'm trying to instill almost a sense of fear, because that's what comes to mind when I see a gravestone, and I want to get you to pull the trigger. I don't need to give you the woo woo and I might not even have the people to interview, right? I might have to hire paid actors, which is expensive. Especially if I'm a new business, I don't have the Google reviews, I don't have the following, I don't have any of those things. So a simple ad is maybe literally all I can do. And you're proving to me that you don't necessarily have to be creative all the time, or am I way off?
So there's a couple things here. One is it's about testing. So literally one time back at Facebook, I like within 3 weeks, I had people tell me, one person's like, images are all that works and everything else is trash. The next person's like, videos all that works, everything else is trash. Next one's carousels all that works, everything else is trash. I'm like, I wonder if you guys just don't have a big enough vision or a focus because you don't see enough ad accounts. Like I've seen more ad accounts than like everybody in agency with all their time combined.
Right.
Like at least. And more ad spend and more individual ad spend. Like I had one client that was in June 2020 selling face masks, and that's a whole other discussion. But some people couldn't sell them on Facebook, and we spent $500,000 in 1 month and made $1 million on that. Scaling a 2x is ridiculous at that spend. Woo! And so the point is, like, they don't have no incentive to do that. And we're talking about creative. So one is I had someone doing a client that was doing, her client was doing career coaching and training for like teenagers. So she made a whole cool carousel with all these stock images of people doing teenager things and hanging out and doing their schooling and people helping. And I said, hey, that little picture of a blue square and a pink square, that's the one I want you to test. And that one did like twice as good as the carousel about career coaching, because the image and the creative is just to stop the scroll. Then the words tell you what it is, and then you put them. People are trying to do too much with their creative. So, but other things will work. Like I had the guys last summer that came to me selling golf clubs because e-commerce is really good on Facebook ads. Because they either been not doing it all, but I fixed their everything I'm telling you now. We did a program with them. On the first set of ads, they're making 5 to 7 return ad spend. So they put in $2,000, made $14,000. Obviously, half that's cost of goods sold to make the golf clubs and send them there, but that's pretty dang good for golf clubs.
That's
But like,
great.
I think it was just like literally a picture of someone swinging a golf club, maybe a video that a guy did of a little thing. There's lots of ways to do it, but the thing is, fix what I call the levers to pull, the pitfalls to avoid, and then iterate on creative for the rest of your life.
Love it. Love it. So that's to get online sales. It sounds like if I want more online traffic on online sales, there's a specific niche or a specific ad to get people to stop scrolling and click on this ad and actually follow through to the process.
Do
And then
something,
there's optimization inside the ad to actually get the type of people that will follow through.
Yeah,
So
messaging, getting the right lead quality, etc. But
what
yeah,
if I
people do too much with it. Yeah,
there's too much there.
I
What
mean,
if I
we could go
want
for
someone
2
to
hours.
visit me? If I'm trying to optimize to not get someone to buy online, I want you to actually visit my store because that's the only way I
Oh,
sell.
in person?
Yeah.
Well, then basically that's gonna be real hard.
It'll be
So,
really
for
hard.
instance, when we were in training, we got to look at Starbucks' account, and they're spending $1 million a day on just reach. They don't do anything. They don't try to get you to do anything. They just want you to remember that you need to go. I know, right?
Just haunt you.
Yeah, they haunt you. So, there's ways to do it. I've worked with like a grocery store one time that was to get. He's like, I want to keep doing this, and I'm like, okay, let's pull out all the stops. Let's do some promo codes. Like, if you did a promo code and someone used it, you know it came from that. So the thing is really about omni-channel marketing, right? So I talk about this at conferences when I've gone to a couple. Is that your business model depends on how much percentage of your ad spend is on any platform, but you should probably be trying all of them, right? A plumber, for instance, they should really put 80% of their money on Google because you've heard the term problem aware, solution aware.
I have not heard that.
So there's a spectrum. So, like for instance, my Facebook ad stuff, people are problem aware. They know their ads are not working and they know they need more leads. They're usually solution aware to agencies, knowing that can be a solution to them. They do not know that they don't have the confidence themselves that they can do it when I teach them. But then, I mean, I've had people 4 hours later, after 4 hours of calls over a couple months, that they could do it by themselves now. And so I instill the confidence, encouragement with them and all the details so that they can do it themselves. So I lost my train of thought there. Where are we going?
No, I was asking why you was explaining why it's harder to get people to visit that grocery store versus buying online.
It's attribution. It's just attribution, right? So, so the plumber, right? The plumber needs to go. People who are searching on Google for a plumber are going to find a plumber. They're like, I'm already looking. If you're trying to find a plumber, you don't want to see a plumber. It doesn't do anything to almost nothing to see it in a Facebook ad because it's not an impulse purchase. It's I have an immediate problem. So you want to index more, a plumber index way more towards Google, but you need to do some Facebook ads for retargeting and brand awareness. But on the opposite side, if you're e-commerce, who cares about Google? No one's going to search your niche thing well enough, like some people can if you're a big enough brand, to get enough keyword depth and broadness. But for Facebook ads, you could get people to buy like that. Like I had someone that was doing like baby clothes, and we got over our best month ever.
Really?
So do you see the difference between the kind of client and whether their problem, like when you see a fun, like an image for a shirt or something you like, your problem and solution aware immediately. But at Google, you need to be completely solution aware or problem aware, like on before you type in anything. You need to be halfway there. But again, there's also the idea that people have made like 50, 70, something like percentage of the decision before they even start Googling you. And so they know they have a problem. The other thing is just attribution is really hard because Facebook's going to take a lot of credit for stuff and Google takes credit for stuff. So if you saw an ad and then you forgot about it and then you remembered the name and then you Googled it and then got it, who gets the credit?
Google.
Potentially, but Facebook's also going to take the credit if it's within 7 days. So because if you wouldn't have Googled it if you didn't see the ad
First,
you wouldn't have known.
You started on Facebook first.
Yeah, so it's all about but the problem is people get so in the weeds. I want direct ROI. They're having problems. So you just want to like do your best, and that's why we teach you to basically the rules I teach on this to keep it nice and easy helps you avoid all the problems. So we haven't even talked about optimizing the 50 and 7 rule, all the stuff that I teaching my program, but there's just all these rules. And once you figure it out, like as it says on my website with the testimonials, like it's not rocket science. You just need to know the nuances, and you can do it easier with more brand alignment and way less money.
I love it. Love it. I want to backstep a little bit. I want to go back to an earlier conversation you and I had, because I think it was good, and I think some people I think it's one of the core reasons why Mark Zuckerberg has to keep showing up in court. But do you think Facebook, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go back and scroll back. But we were talking about how Facebook Meta back in the day used to really allow you to really target a demographic down to the wire, like down to the nail, and whether you're engaged, single, married, divorced, how many kids you have, how many kids should this person that you want to market to be in the family. It was very, very detailed. It's no longer like that. You can't advertise like that anymore. Do you feel to any degree that when you subcontract for them, that Facebook ads are invading user privacy too much? Do you agree with what the court system is saying at all? Or
So a couple things. One, I think the from what I heard, there was the first one that was like 2018, I think, right before I got there, was the Britannica one. It was a third party that did the data breach, and so that's different. In terms of the detailing, like the reason they got rid of all the different targeting things, some of them was because it was probably a little bit too well. At least they said you couldn't. They'll reject your ads now if you try to target based on that. That's why I think it's number 12 on the Facebook policies. It's called I forget what it's called, but I show it to a lot of my clients because there's a lot of things you can't say or target, or at least you can't say that you're targeting them because of that. Remember, they used to be able to see all these ads that said like your name in the on the ad, and that got totally outlawed because that privacy. I don't know. I've always heard that there's actually a geo targeting thing that's happening. Facebook's not listening to your conversations. So you know, people say that like they're like, my phone's listening to me. I just did this thing when they just got an ad for it. Yeah. Well, probably what I've heard was not really, in the sense that you're next to somebody who they've Googled something or they are the right kind of person. So Facebook profiled that person as that, and your phone was close enough to theirs for long enough that they think that you will buy it for them, or you will be the person to influence to give the go ahead on it, that they'll serve it to you as well. Does that make sense?
It does. So
that's what I've heard.
That's what you've heard. That's what so this is not legal advice, y'all. I gotta protect my guest. This is not legal advice. But I wanted some sauce. I was trying to get some sauce to see if there was any kind of like Mission Impossible stuff, under the hood stuff that you could share now that you no longer subcontract for them. Is that correct? Or do they
no, I don't. Yeah, and I don't know anything about that. I was really sitting in the strategy most of the time. So, and support cases. Oh man.
How do you stay relevant even though you're not subcontracting for more? Because I feel like the algorithm is always changing. Just like I said, back in the day it was this. How do you stay up to date on what's happening? Do you got an insider? Well, or what?
When I keep working with contractors, I just am in it, and most of it done. The way else, two things. One is the things I teach are so fundamental that they'll never change. Like, in a sense, that's part of it. And like, that's like, you know, the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle,
yes,
80-20 rule. The things I'm teaching is the 80%, the 20% of things that make the 80% difference. So in that sense, another one is everybody I talked to has told me that what you just said, which is algorithms always changing. Since I started at Facebook 5 years ago, whatever, like 2 things have happened that mattered.
Okay.
So like that changed anything really the way I do it. Like 2 things. And so people are freaking out about stuff. Really, it's about buttons changing random things, but and then some to different degrees, right? Not so much. They changed the attribution window from I think it was 28-day to 7-day clicker 1-day view. And then they the iOS update where you can't attribute iPhone users because it's opting out automatically. So
Mhm.
you just know that you're not going to get in those people in certain things, and then the cappy stuff. And so there's only a couple things that have actually happened, and now maybe a new one, which is we have to now test whether their Facebook broad targeting will outdo our own targeting that follow all these rules.
Okay, so you test it against yourself.
Yeah. I
All
have a
right.
whole testing system that doesn't do the A/B split test that I think works a lot better.
That doesn't do the A/B test. The
Nope,
A/B.
I don't use A/B testing at all in there, and I split test both audiences and creative and copy against each other in a very data-driven way that gives you better results without wasted ad spend. So yeah.
So you duplicate. You duplicate, like you said earlier. You
A little
duplicate,
bit
and
duplicating, but also like multiple ad sets within using what's called CBO. There's a lot of things in there, yeah. So we can teach that.
absolutely. The man, the myth, the legend. Oh my gosh. Where you guys gonna get this kind of sauce on unless you reach out to Mr. Eric Saar himself directly or here on Gentleman Style Podcast? This is huge. I think I'm gonna ask him to come back on a live. This is saucy. This is really saucy. But I wanted to touch on, you said something earlier again, and it comes up to mind because this is me being selfish. For me, you said minimum $20 a day minimum, maximum if you could go $100 a day to really push it, and do not touch it once you publish it. You can copy it, duplicate it, and start a different track if you want to make adjustment, but do not mess with that thing once it goes active. What about it? Can it be $20 a day spread out on multiple ads, or do you recommend if you have 4 campaigns that you want to run, all of them should be budgeted for 20?
I would say the second one, because the problem is it's about just there's about 100 million ad auctions a second, right? And so it's automatically happening. If you're only spending 20, you're going to get the lowest low of the people in the hierarchy who are not going to spend money with you. So if you can't be competitive enough, why do it to matter? So it's about really the efficiency part of it. And so every single campaign in this case would need to have that $20 to make it good. But I only have to do 2 campaigns: top of funnel and retargeting. That's all you need to do. Unless you're like the mass company that I had 9 or 10 campaigns going because we had to somehow get $500,000 going in different campaigns across the month. So unless you're really scaling, like, you only need a couple of campaigns.
Okay. Okay. Again, I'm going to be selfish here. Forgive me, y'all, on Gentleman Style Podcast, but it is my show, so I get to be as selfish as I like. What would you recommend for a podcast? Right. I don't have a physical location. Where should I be spending my money? Is it Google or is it Facebook Meta? Where should I be spending the bulk of my advertising?
I mean, you're more like a 50% SEO Google stuff and 50% Facebook ads, because you could get a lot of people doing different kinds of funnels, and then also you need to be able to be searched. So you're more of a 50-50, whereas like a plumber is way over here and like e-commerce is way over here on Facebook ads.
So I'm kind of in the middle.
Kind of in the middle, because it's something that can be discovered. You don't discover a plumber like you don't like discover a plumber or whatever, right? Or a niche B2B problem, right? You don't really discover that. You like have a need and then go find it. That's where Google is perfect. You need to open search terms, but you're also not like e-commerce. Like, you're not sunglasses where it's like, I don't need to do Facebook. I mean, you could do Google with sunglasses, but you want the impulse purchase. And so
Absolutely.
you're a little bit of both. You got to try it out. Like, get 2 experts, do them both right for a year, and then see what happens and see which one's better for you. Better cost per result if you take everything into account.
So when you say SEO, I need to optimize everything, make sure everything is optimized so that when people are searching for podcasts that talk about these topics, that I'm
That'll be
top
one.
20%.
I also have a SaaS product and all this other stuff that I'm working on, but I have been a SaaS remind that someone came in and talked about you should do Reddit, because Reddit is now replacing. They're using kind of Reddit forums as a proxy for a lot of Google searches. So if you created a Reddit about all this stuff, you could probably get up in the search and then they'd go to the podcast. So that'd be important. Yeah, and if you're talking about, I know it's more in the B2B space, but you're talking about search engine stuff. Brendan Huford is a guy on LinkedIn that I love. I got to meet with him, and he was amazing. So if
Super.
anybody's it needs that, that's the person to go to.
Plug. I love it. This is networking. This is all networking. We're all here to help each other. So you said Brendan Hubert?
Huford,
Huford.
Hufford, I think.
So check that out.
He's
So
really high up in doing this stuff for B2B SaaS and stuff. But if you follow on LinkedIn, you'll just get the feel for it and get what you need.
super dope. Super dope. I want to ask, so I want to talk about the money. Gotta talk about the money. What should people have before they set a consultation up with you? What should they have ready? What should they be ready to spend? What do they need to have before they click the link and find you?
Well, the perfect people that work with me are people who already had an agency and are paying it and need to do Facebook ads. Like it's part of their strategy. Because those people, when they can come into me and get all the information and do it right with their internal team, again, it's only going to take maybe 7 hours of my program over several months and 4 hours of one of your assistants' time a month to do this. But you're probably already spending way more than that dealing with agencies and having all the missed brand alignment and stuff. So it's about the where you're at is that you have the agency, you're tired of it, you want to bring it in house. In terms of coming to a consultation, the first one to do is like what I guess discovery sales call. Like you don't need anything really. If they're like, okay, I want to do this, but I know I'm gonna go through with it. The idea is I teach the first couple hours is the fundamentals of some of the stuff I talked about today, but really laying it out in a personalized way on the Zoom. And then by call two, it's an iterative process. We're building ads together and teaching you every single button to press and why and what not to press. And it's actually what matters to you. And then 2 weeks later, we work on how to read metrics. I've literally had people turn off the best ad set because they thought it was the worst ad set. And then we do another one by call 5, about 2 months later, 2.5 months later. Then they're basically like, I got this. I'm like, you do it. And then you let me know if you have any questions because you don't need any more help and you save $5,000 a month, $2,000 a month, whatever.
So average about what I should allot about 6 weeks time frame, 8 weeks time to spend learning with you.
It's an hour every other week, basically,
Okay.
for about 3-ish months.
Okay. And you can't beat that, y'all. You can't beat that. You're going from a mindset of having an entire agency who is failing you and not setting you up correctly and spending thousands of dollars, whereas you can hire just one person on your team to do it the right way and then cut out all the rest.
But
And
also,
so,
this person can be like, it can be 1/5 of their job.
absolutely, that's true. So it doesn't once the goal is gone. Once it's going, it's just monitoring after that. It's not
Basically,
even.
I mean, yeah, it's like you should be able to do it 2 hours every couple weeks. Is how you should run Facebook ads correctly.
Super, and don't touch it. I want to stress what he said
Yeah, I
earlier.
mean, literally,
Don't
don't
mess
touch it
with
for this other reason too. Like, I did some ads and I had a cost per lead of like 8 when I started. 2 weeks later, the cost per lead was 4 because I didn't touch it.
it.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
so
It
it learned.
doubles the efficacy because you didn't touch it.
Left it alone. Left it alone. This is huge. Huge. Do you have a pipeline as well where you like say someone says, listen, I'll give you the $5,000. Can you just set it up? Would you do that? Is that something that your
That's
company
kind of what my
supports?
program is, sort of, in the sense of you give me the money, we go through and we make it. It's like that's what the owner says, and then me and the assistant get on and we do it all.
Okay.
So the owner could be on the call, especially the first call. They really understand the paradigm shift that we're going to go through, that the person's going to go do. But like, I don't really want to like go do it myself because I've already done that like 1,000 times and I'm tired of it. I want to go teach you how to do it and then just like send you off. It's because it takes I can do it in 30, 45 minutes. Yeah.
Fly.
The easy parts or the strategy parts are what they need help with and the mindset shift, and then also just the fact that like I can short circuit everything faster than people can. And agencies just want to keep you like, we're going to keep working with you forever, and yeah, here's your big retainer. So I mean, mine's not inexpensive. It's $4,000 for over 3 months. But then imagine if you're spending $5,000 on agency like these people were, they now don't have to pay an agency ever again because the 3 months was up.
That's true. That's true. Can't beat that. You're spending $5,000 a month. You're spending $4,000 over the course of 3 months, and you got it.
But even most people are probably, I think $2,000 is more the most common how much an agency costs. But still, the payback period is like worth it.
Absolutely. Do you do anything with, probably not, just this is just Facebook. So yeah, this is huge. This is huge. Do you recommend a podcast have a website?
Say that again.
Do you recommend a podcast have a website?
It'd probably be easier if you like. So I'm also a big CRM guy, like implementing some automation stuff. It's probably easier if you can find a landing page builder through your CRM and build different landing pages around it than needing to have a website. Websites are almost solely for credibility, and you could probably make a pretty nice one now with landing page and then use domain transfer or domain redirects to it, and not actually have to make website. Websites are sort of not necessary anymore.
Absolutely.
But if you already have it already built, like, who cares?
Yeah, but credibility is significant. I learned the other day that people are trusting influencers more than they're even trusting the news, right?
Yeah.
I think CNBC or Fox released some big news and it had like 150,000 views. And then an influencer, a social media influencer came on, did the same thing, talked about the same thing, and it got over 1 million. And so that shows a shift in trust. And so what's I noticed a Facebook, we're talking about Meta, but out of the big platforms, we got Twitter, which is now X, Meta, Instagram, Google, TikTok. Which one should I be on all of them? Should I focus on one and specialize and being an expert on Facebook? Do you
I would say it's always starts. There's this cool phrase called "start somewhere and grow." So you need to figure out how to get the right expert to learn that one, and then once you've mastered it, put it on autopilot and have someone in charge of it, then move to the next one.
Okay.
So it's probably like master it for a year, then have someone do it. After 3 months of them figuring out how to do it, and move on to the next one. If that makes sense. So like for you, like YouTube is important. You should really understand YouTube probably the best. And then, okay, then go to whatever, and then go to Facebook or whatever. So,
and then, so grow with it. Grow with it. This is an epic interview. Is there anything I should have asked you that you wanted to share that I missed, that I could have asked you, that you really love to get up? A common, like a common problem that you always see. You shared numerous problems, but is there anything that I should have asked you?
I try to hit up. So people, they need to implement it. So me saying it is not giving it away, but like the significant edits is important. The targeting, there's overlapping ad sets. People are literally beating against each other, against themselves all the time, and raising their cost per leads. Like, it's like ridiculous. Like, it'll go up 40% because people don't know how to. They have too many ad sets. They don't know how to make it right. So that's something that happens. But just like I said with the traffic thing, not picking the right campaign objective to do what they want and not knowing how to target, like, it's just they're shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over again, and they're like, Facebook doesn't work for me. I'm like, I wonder why.
I have had, so I own 4 cannabis dispensaries, and that's not allowed on social media.
Yeah, you're gonna have some problems. I've worked with those companies. I've worked with but imagine 2019 working with like CBD oil companies.
How so? What any luck there? What was the struggle there?
If you can get, I think it was, if you can get anything that would violate their terms 2 clicks away, you were fine. But anything that was within 2 clicks, so you link to the homepage, and then nothing on the homepage says anything that will violate terms, I think. And if you go the next level, then you can put whatever you want.
Okay, so
that's what I heard a long time ago. I think that might work. Eventually, though, like, I think, despite anyone's initial thoughts about that industry, probably will, once it gets, Facebook will follow suit of when the federal government does it, and then it'll be okay to do probably at some point.
Okay, so there's hope.
There's hope somewhere for that. There's a lot of other things, like for instance, there's a lot more marketing things. Like I specialize in Facebook because it's one of my best things I'm elite at. But like all the marketing other stuff, like there's lots of things to talk about that I know. I mean, I got my MBA from Pepperdine too. Like it's not just just Facebook ads, but there's so much more to talk about and to understand about your business, people's businesses, that need to be helpful.
That's true. That's true. That's super dope. Very well accoladed, very well credentialed, knows what he's talking about. This is good. This is what we need. This is huge on what we need and what we need to talk about here, because it's really been kicking a butt. Why do you have such a passion for marketing? When did you know you had the bug? When did that kick in?
It's funny, actually. I almost don't have a passion for marketing as much as I used to. I'd rather be a visionary CEO. That's why I have my SaaS company that I'm working on. But the reason is, it's because you get to, well, the reason I like Facebook ads in this and what I do is because I get to fix broken things. Yeah. So I think that's it. You have God in your thing. I'm a Christian, and fixing broken things is really important to me. And so I'm able to save people's businesses in ways that, and get them off the ground to help them employ other people. It's just really important to me.
Who's a client? Have you ever had to turn away a client? Who's a really bad client for Facebook marketing ads?
Well, restaurants are going to be really bad.
Restaurants.
Because they can't attribute anything. They only have like a 5-mile radius to any location. Unless you're a national brand, then sure, you do Facebook ads, do some brand awareness, but otherwise you're gonna have real problems.
So they can't go far, which means they can't hit those metrics of
enough people
over 7 million or more.
37 million. But even if you just had like Los Angeles, right? You would hit the people, but if you try to target the people the kind of clientele you wanted, it'd be so small you couldn't. So I didn't get to mention this. There's a 50 and 7 rule that we talk about. That's more about like how to optimize any specific targeting audience. And so you just can't hit the metrics to be optimized if you're having to super target inside of an already small location area. But for instance, some people are just like, give me these zip codes. I need to hit everybody in them. Well, you can do that for a couple $100.
They don't need you. They don't need you.
You can just reach. You can just use reach and just like, I just need to reach these people and have them see my video. Okay, well, that's really easily done. But if you're trying to convert them to be clients, I worked with a lot of consultants and stuff, and I love my webinar funnels. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. Work there. I love the webinar funnels. Native Facebook lead gens. Just like this guy was doing a doctor, and he ended up not as tech. I didn't like follow through on the webinar, so I didn't get in like know what if you made money on it. But like $600 got 200 people into a chronic brain fog webinar, and then we did it again 2 weeks later, and it got same $600 got 240 people in it to register for it. So imagine half show up, 3-4 buy. That's like 20 grand for $600 if done right.
And you literally and it's a pre-recorded webinar, or is the actual?
I think it'd be live, but if you did it once a week, wouldn't you do, or twice a month, wouldn't you get 40 grand for $1,200?
I do that for the rest of my life.
I know, right? So that's what becoming a doctor is so helpful, right? But yeah. So anyway, but he didn't. If you didn't do all the things I tell people to do, it wouldn't happen that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
got 8 people and none of them showed up. Oh, I wonder what to do.
Got paid. No refunds. No refunds. Have you had any horror stories working with Meta? You ever had like a server crash or a hack or anything like that?
I mean, we were in our call center, like we would lose internet and stuff, and nothing. We'd all be sitting there, 400 people or whatever, and it's like, hey, 200 people, like, you want to hang out, because we can't do anything right now. Horror stories. I had people yell at me a lot, and I was giving them free advice because I was working for Facebook, and they're like cussing me out. I'm like, what the heck, man? Like,
or what?
I'm helping you here.
Cussing you out because they didn't like your advice?
Probably, yeah, I think so.
Jeez.
I'm like, it's free advice, like from the source. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, directly, I'm helping you do this better, and they don't like it. What is your passion? What do you enjoy doing? If you could change one thing in the world to make the world a better place, what would it be? Is it,
Well, one thing I'm trying to do is I'm going to try to make this SaaS business big, and then I'm going to make places so that the churches I go to and some other churches I know don't ever have to have anybody pay for their own surgeries. That's what I'm going to be passionate about.
So what do you mean? You want to
Like
pay fund people's
fund anybody's surgeries at all these churches and stuff.
what?
Yeah.
Why?
I also want to do
Why?
a tech incubator and all this stuff. Just I got a lot of ideas.
But that's the top.
That's the top. That's one of them. That's the one that comes to the end. The B2B SaaS platform I keep mentioning is a platform that helps connect Airbnb cleaners with Airbnb hosts and automate the whole process. So we're working on that. We're a couple years into development. I gotta get some funding and go make this a reality.
So I used to do Airbnb and I don't do Airbnb anymore, but there is a company that I used when I was that did that. They connected cleaners
They had to
to
rebrand because they suck so bad.
they did. So what sets that apart? Let's talk about it. What sets you apart on what you're building apart from the competition?
So from what it sounds like, theirs is both and again, we don't need to mention their name, but
For sure.
they're a and not because we can't, but because they're not good. It seems like from what I've heard, like and I looked at the business model. I don't know how it's sustained. Like there's no way that thing can sustain with the money. They're not charging enough, but they also aren't across the country well enough. But also it's a two-sided network, right? So two-sided network is where this value is created, cleaners and hosts. But it's like Uber, right? Like there's like an application process, but no one's vetting these people or doing anything. So we're going to care only about high quality people, and we're going to have all these safeguards to make sure that. And I'm working on like eventually I'm going to have something like insurance, like if this person doesn't come, like they're obviously not going to be our employees, right? So we're going to have people that are employees that if you have a problem, we're going to get somebody to your thing so you're not going to have to worry about. Because we got Airbnb hosts that don't live in the same state and have problems.
Yeah.
But also eventually we're going to not just get cleaners, but you're going to be able to get like all the other services, pool people for us in Arizona here. Like you're going to have solutions to all the thing. It's going to be like Angie's List for Airbnb owners specifically that only do this kind of thing. We're going to avoid all the Mary Maids people who are like, apparently I've heard that there's no quality control there, so they can't tell who's actually coming. But all the people that we're going to have are going to be really small mom and pop companies that you can know that they're good because of the reviews and the ratings. So it's going to really solve a lot of the problems there.
That's significant. I'll tell you one problem I had. It was crazy. So I used the service. I used that platform to connect me with local cleaners in my area. I wasn't out of state. I was still in state, but it was a significant amount of distance that if there was a hiccup, I couldn't be there in time in preparation for the next person to come, the next occupants to come in. And you're right about the vetting as well, because I literally had a Airbnb like almost 2 hours from me, and the cleaner she botched it because the cleaners have to accept the job. So Airbnb, it syncs up to Airbnb, and when an inquiry comes in and someone books you, it automatically dispatches or supposed to dispatch to your cleaner. So I had to have like 10 cleaners on standby because and I had to list who was the primary cleaner. So it would go to them first, and then if she didn't accept it, it would filter to the rest, and someone would pick it up. Hopefully.
Yeah, that means so we're the way we're doing it is like that you don't accept it. It's like you pick them and book them, and they have to accept it. And if they don't, we're gonna have backups for that. But like, there's not like Eddie who wants it, and then they get it or not get it. It's like you are booking this person. This person is available then because everyone's gonna have individual calendars, and we're gonna eventually work on syncing up to Airbnb. But like, it's more. I've done all the research from Pepperdine. Like this was in my courses. We're doing the entrepreneurship research and having the in-depth interviews to understand how people thought to make sure that we create something that people actually wanted.
That's huge. That's huge. My primary cleaner, she was another Airbnb host. And I was like, who vetted this person? This person is my direct competition, and they're a host, and it turned out they were stealing from me.
Yeah.
They were stealing supplies. They were stealing ideas on how I set up my layout, and it was terrible. They were stealing toilet paper.
I also heard a horror story of somebody hearing that their cleaner came, sent them a picture from a different time they did it and then just left. So I have it in my app that you cannot take things from your gallery, only from your camera.
You have to take a live photo right then and there. No uploading, nothing.
No uploading. It's not possible. Huge. Not ready yet, but hopefully it'll be beta testing it in the next 3 months or so.
Please reach out. Let me know when you do. We could talk about it when it goes live. We're raising capital, everything. So please come back. We need that. That is severely needed. This has been an epic conversation, an epic dialogue. We got Eric Saar on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, spilling the tea on meta ads. How can people connect with you? How can people find you? How can people? The train has left the station. You've clearly been doing this for a really long time, but it's not too late for them to get on board. How can people connect?
Well, slingshotmediaconsulting.com is the website. Has some reviews there. Has some kind of talking through it, pricing, etc. And then you can book a call with me there. There you go. And then also LinkedIn, just an Eric Saar and Eric Saar on LinkedIn in Arizona, and that'll be it, I think.
Absolutely. So don't connect with the wrong Eric Saar. Eric Saar, look at his face, and then Arizona. For our audio listeners, Eric Saar. So that website is slingshotmediaconsulting, one word, .com. So get on board, check it out, book an appointment, and get your ads set up the right way. Thank you again. I want to say this to you publicly, sir. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for spilling the tea. Thank you for sharing and giving back in this way. It's an honor to host you, and I want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It was fun.
Super dope. I can't wait till you are able to help people and donate and support people who need surgery. Is there any kind of surgery? Is it like the BBL?
The point is just like whatever they want. What?
The BBL?
No, I don't think anything.
The cosmetic surgery.
No. The ones that they need, the life-saving ones.
Life-saving surgery. I was trying to help y'all. Like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and the incredible, the amazing Mr. Eric Saar here on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.